Hi, my name is Catherine Went with Syscon, and thanks for taking a moment of your time. These are crazy times we're in right now, and we all just need to stay calm. We're getting a lot of calls about how on earth do I track the information in Sage 100 Contractor when I make the payments under this new CARES Act. And there seems to be some confusing information about what to do with the Fica and Medicare withholding for the employees. I've seen some things out there where it says you don't need to withhold the Social Security and Medicare, and from all that I can tell with our CPA communications and all, you do need to process the payroll as usual. Whenever you're making the payments, either that $511 a day or the up to $200, all of those guidelines, you're going to treat it with the same rules that you've always done. Withhold the FICA, withhold the Medicare, and be prepared to do the employer matching. What's different is when those payments are due. When are the 941 payments due? And I'm not going to get into that right here. What I would like to focus on is how do I track the information in my actual payroll record in the 522 screen. So I'm going to name 4 things you can use. I'm going to recommend you choose 2 of them you're comfortable with, and then with those in place and being very consistent, later on, when we're very clear what the reporting needs to be, we'll be able to pull the information you actually need to report. So here are a couple of things. The first one is cost codes. Thank you, Sean. You can use a cost code. Create a unique one. Create 3, one for each of the 3 eventualities under the CARES Act, and use those in the grid of the 522 screen. You don't need to choose a job. You don't need to choose the shop. It can be overhead, but you can still flag the cost code. So you can put that in there as a flag. The second one is go ahead and use for sick as the pay type. Now before you do that, you might want to go and look at any unused sick time, move that to the notepad in the employee screen for reference later on, and then go ahead and use the sick time in the grid to track what you're using in the way of hours. The third one is the absence field. Several of you, quite a few of our clients, don't use that field. It's in the grid of the 522 screen on the far right. So go ahead and pull up the show hide of the various columns and such, and go ahead and reselect absence, and you'll be able to see it. You can actually set up the 3 types of payments in that absence and then just flag those on each row. So you might have someone who worked Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, all is normal, and then lo and behold on Thursday they're out sick under this CARES Act. Your first couple days are normal. You get to the row for Thursday, you'd be able to possibly use that cost code, and then, or maybe sick time, and then use absence on the far right. The fourth one is 9 miscellaneous. So if you have someone that would qualify for the $511 for the day, put that day on the grid, and you can use type 9 miscellaneous and put the 511 rather than doing hours of work times a rate. That would be another way to flag that, and then maybe go ahead and use absence again on the far right. With these couple things in place and very consistent use of them, we will be able to pull the reporting that you need later on once we know actually what it is and how to build it and what you need to report. Please check with your CPA and go with other documentation about when your 941 payments are due and under what circumstances. There is a lot to consider. It's going to be helpful with your cash flow, but you do need to be careful and on top of it. So those are the things we recommend to track payment of them, and I can't emphasize enough that our CPAs have confirmed you do need to withhold FICA and Medicare, process your payroll as you normally would, and then follow the rules for making the payments. Sorry that's a lot, but hopefully that was helpful, and I'll give you a couple of tips. We're going to go ahead and post this in a couple of other locations as well. If you have questions, feel free to give us a call. Be careful, be safe, and have a good rest of your day. Thanks.